Riverbend Awareness Project.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast episode are solely those of the individuals participating and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Riverbend Media Group or the Riverbend Awareness Project, its affiliates, or its employees. It is important to note that the discussion presented is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. Listeners are encouraged to consult with qualified healthcare professionals for any medical concerns or decisions. The Riverbend Awareness Project is a product of Riverbend Media Group.
What are some common misconceptions about agriculture that you've encountered from people?
That's a really good question. Just give a little background on that question. I was on a National Farm Bureau committee, and I traveled the country, and we interacted with consumers all across the country. And from being in the grocery store, having a beef farmer next to the meat aisle, a dairyman next to the milk, and just say, hey, I'm a farmer, ask me. And so we've had a lot of these questions. We have saw a lot of these misconceptions from all across the country. And the number one biggest deal is they're like, why are you farming? I can go to Walmart to get that food.
Sorry.
They don't realize that comes from a farm.
And that's the number one, is they're like, why do we need farmers? And that's what, I spend a lot of time doing is if the farmer's not out farming, raising that food, we're not going to have food on our tables. And if we have restrictive laws and policies that make it hard for us to raise food, it increases the cost of food at the table.
Yeah.
And those are a lot of things that people don't understand. And to go on the other side, I like to talk about, this is the negative. I want to share from the farmer perspective. We're doing everything we possibly can to provide a cheap, quality food that's safe for everyone to eat. And that's one that we fight a little bit. They're like, farmers are using all these chemicals. And we're really not. There's a lot of pictures out there that shows that we are. But
people don't realize how far the chemicals that we use on our foods have come.
Definitely. The one perspective that I like to use when I'm talking to people about chemicals, and that is, look at a football field. A football field is roughly an acre.
Mm-hmm.
How much Roundup do you think goes on an acre?
It's not very much. It's less than an ounce, isn't it?
It's a little more than an ounce. It's 20 ounces. So a Pepsi bottle worth of Roundup goes in that. The rest of it's water. And so you imagine that 20 ounces of Roundup across that field. There's very little out there.
Yeah.
And that's what's neat about the technology today. We don't need a lot to do it. And farmers aren't overusing that chemical because it's expensive.
Yes, it is.
And so we're looking at the rates. We're doing what we're told to do. So one, it's cost effective for us, and we're going to eat that food too.
Yeah.
So we want it to be as safe as possible. And that's how I look at a lot of things. I mean, farmers are out there at the cutting edge of technology. If there's something new out there, a farmer is going to try it because they want to be on that cutting edge and cost saving. They want to provide that quality product. And that's just it. We're here to service the people eating the food.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Like I said when we were talking beforehand, and I grew up with agriculture all around me, right? And so I always knew, okay, this is where our food comes from. But I guess if you don't grow up where it's around you, you don't have that perspective. So it's good to share awareness with people and be like, no, we want to make sure you have good food, and that's our whole job. That's what it is.
If we did a bad job, we'd go out of business.
That's how it goes for most industries.
Yeah. So it's got to be real good.
And to go with that, farming is not necessarily the most lucrative business. For the labor and intensive, all the issues that we have to deal with, most people aren't doing it. Of course, they need to make a buck so they can feed their family and keep doing it. but it's a passion. It's people love, like farmers love to farm. And sometimes I think this is what's kind of caught farmers is farmers enjoy farming. They're kind of solitude people, very smart, but they just enjoy what they do. They love being with their animals. They love working the ground and all that stuff. And so they're so focused on their trade that they're not out there telling their story. They're not saying, hey, this is why I'm farming, because they're so focused on providing a high quality product for people. And so people are like, oh, are the farmers being sneaky? They're not being sneaky. They're just loving what they do. And so this is a great opportunity for me to get out and share my story, share what we do it, why we do it. We do it because we love to provide a high quality product for people.
So kind of perfect leading into how can we, as consumers of all types, better support and appreciate agriculture, farmers, ranchers?
Well, to support, I guess, kind of
Or appreciate.
appreciate.
How do we do that?
I think, be aware of farmers and what they're doing is there's so much misinformation out there, but there's a lot of really good, actually, agriculture sources to get your information from. It's amazing in the last 10 years how many agriculture influencers are out there. They're sharing their story. If you have a question about something, maybe search for one of those guys that are actually in the field farming versus a mommy blogger that has a bone to pick with agriculture.
Yeah.
And so, go to the farmers for the source. Listen to me. I just love talking about what I do. And most farmers do. And they want to share you what they're doing, why they're doing it, so that you can understand. But it's just, how can we get to those farmers? And so take the time, find a good resource about how food's raised and stuff like that, and not just read the first thing that pops up on Google. And then safety issues on the roads. There's so many close calls that I've had where I've almost been ran over, my tractor's been hit, because people are in a hurry. Our tractors go 25, 26 miles an hour, and they pull out behind us, and people are just mad because they have to wait a minute longer to get to work or something like that. When you see tractors on the road, take time, realize that that's a father, that's a son, that's a daughter.
Give them space.
That's just trying to do their job. And they don't want to be in your way. But the size of the equipment and all that, you take up a little more space. Same with like the trailers, the cattle trailers, the horse trailers. Don't go cut off a horse trailer, because
that's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight, and those animals are just standing in there, tied. If you have to hit your brakes, you're going to knock your horses down. You're going to break legs. I mean, just a little consideration in being around people with trailers and semis, and it's just not a solid thing that can stop it in a second.
Yeah, just living animals in there. Stopping a semi is already a hard thing to do, and with animals that are in there, it makes it that much harder. What gives you hope about the future of agriculture?
Well, everyone has to eat.
It's true.
And, they say that, agriculture, they're just farmers. They don't change. They're just raising crops. But we've changed so much just in the last 20 years that I've been farming, how we're doing things, why we're doing things. I look at the future, the technology, robots, different styles of farming. All of that stuff's going to make farming better, safer for people. Where the chemicals that we're using, they're dialing down so they can use less and less and less. We're using the best technology we use today. Maybe tomorrow we're going to find something a little better and we'll use that. But just, the passion that people have for farming, they're going to try to grow the best quality crops any way that they can. And again, we got to eat. There's going to be more and more people on the planet. We as farmers, we have to be better at our jobs every day because there's less and less farm ground. I mean, I wish I'd looked that up, but we're losing thousands of acres a day.
You can just see it around even Idaho Falls here, like how many subdivisions take up farmland every year.
And that's a lot of those are productive agriculture fields growing food that farmers have to improve their technology, their practices to replace that.
Get higher yields and everything like that.
Higher yields, and it's going to require the technology and stuff to do it, and different styles of farming. And I guess that gives me hope that we're going to need farmers more and more.
I'm sure, like, seeing that your daughter wants to step into the business, that's got to be a good thing to see too. That some young people still want to do that. Not everybody wants a desk job. Some people still want to get out and work with their hands.
No, I love the fact that my daughter wants to get out there and farm. I have hope that she can, but the way that people are moving into our valley, I mean, if I hold on to my farm ground, is she going to be farming through subdivisions?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It's going to make it harder. And so I hope we can figure out a way that we can interact with the community so that we can continue to farm and be able to make a living so that we can pay for the land that we need to raise food.
Was there anything we didn't cover that you were like, I was really excited to talk about this and we hadn't touched on it yet?
I've kind of zigzagged through all my stuff. I just talking about like maybe a little bit about conservation, and I just want to say like the farmer and ranchers are some of the earliest conservationists because that land is what they work with, and so farmers are always working on a way how to better their land, whether it's no-till, different practices, so that ground is going to be there. So my ground's going to be there for my daughter. Using our cows up on the rangeland. Luckily, my area hasn't necessarily had any fires, but we've been close, and cattle really help reduce fire. Fire. There's just not the underbrush to take care of it. We work hand in hand with the Forest Service and different organizations to make sure that our cattle aren't overgrazing and all that. We don't want to overgraze because it's going to hurt us the next year.
Yeah.
And so we're watching constantly. I mean, half the time when we're out checking our cows, we're looking at the grass, we're looking at the creeks, we're trying to make sure that we're being less impactful as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good takeaway message is, man, we're striving every day to make sure that there's a future in agriculture. I mean, we want it. We want to be doing it the best way possible to protect our land.
No, that makes sense because it's your livelihood, but it's also your passion. So you want it to be here for the next generation, the generation after that. You want to take care of it, and you live in it too. So you see what goes on, and from your experiences, understand it better than someone who might not be there. So that's.
You look at the world today. People are almost 3, moving on 4 generations removed from agriculture. For the most part, most people are. And so they don't have that background where, here 100 years ago,
everybody had to do
80% of the people had to raise their food. And to now you're almost just about 1% of people raise all the food in the world.
That's crazy.
And so it shows that we are productive. We are doing a good job because there's so few of us doing it. There's more policemen than there are firefighters or farmers.
That's a good perspective.
I'd never thought about that.
No, that's crazy. The amount of people feeding everybody.
And so it takes a lot of technology and a lot of improvements, a lot of conservation.
Yeah.
To make our land sustainable.
Well, thanks for coming in and talking to us today. I definitely learned a few things I didn't know before, and hopefully our listeners do the same thing.
Yeah, and thanks for being a farmer. For
Thank
the
you.
efforts that you put in to make sure we have good, safe food.
It's my passion. I love it, and I just I guess in closing, farmers are out there doing what they love, and like I said, they are trying to provide the safest, best quality, cheapest food for everyday people, so that they can be successful.
Want me to? Okay. Thank you for listening to the Riverbend Awareness Project. Remember to subscribe and rate, and join us next time.